Hi everyone, I'm Mr. Smith. It's Friday, Paraskevia. Today we're looking at our first tutorial on dative case, Micemiti brunva, tandebuli, postposition endings, ze and she. Respectively, they mean on and in. These are more directional based tandebuli and perhaps some of the easiest ones for us to get our head around, while at the same time they're used in Georgian in very oblique ways. So, if you're ready, let's go. Let's begin our journey with my Instagram posters. On the left, ze, and on the right, she. These tandebuli endings are used on nouns to express on, usually, and in, usually. I'm using usually because we will discover today that not always. Sometimes you have to trust your intuition. And that's why we're looking at these two maps. Because if I want to ask, this is the district of Sabrtalo. Sadaris, Delisis metro. I don't know which district it's in. They will say Sabrtalo-zea. Sabrtalo-zea. When we add this tandebuli to any of these nouns, we have to remember, generally speaking, there's an absence of an S and an absence of an I. That is the first tip. No I, no S, you're probably with a dative tandebuli. But let's say we go to another district, the next door district, Bake, then Sadaris Kustpa. And you think, where is, and there it is actually, Sadaris Kustpa. Which district I'm kind of thinking, looking at the photograph. And Bakeshia. Bakeshia. So, although this lake is up, we can physically see it, it's in Bake. And although the metro, Delisi, is underground and in, it's Sabrtalo-zea. Now, all the districts in Tbilisi have a different ending and you're simply going to have to learn them. I would like to say also this applies to the seasons of the year. In spring and in summer, don't use the same ending. They don't both use she. And we're going to be practicing a little bit about that too. Slide 1, let's look at pronouns that use these endings. And we're starting with number 1 because we're in a completely different set. So we're now with the Micemiti set. It's a set of 6. And the important thing, of course, is how do we recognize the dative? Well, generally, we take the noun. If it ends in a consonant, the I is dropped, an S is attached, and generally speaking, that's how we're going to notice it. But take a look. No S in any of these examples. Despite the fact that all of them are in the right case, how do we know? In fact, here is the only way, really, that we know. Because the previous videos, mis was the correct pronoun for him, her, and it. Mas is the correct pronoun for the next 6 tandebuli. Different set, different pronoun. Pay attention to that. Also, the omnipresence of this S, which is the defining characteristic of knowing that you're in the right case, is omitted. Let's take a look at this YouTube channel that clearly shows us that this is a mistake. Ara storia, chems ze. The omnipresence of this S is so natural to Georgians that the fluency actually puts in a mistake. They add the S too, they shouldn't add it. So we're going to start on the right foot. Basically, new case, none of the things that we rely on to identify this case are there. We just need to memorize them. And also the meaning, because ze means on. But when we use it with pronouns, it does have a deeper, more profound meaning. So if it's chemze, it's about me. It's concerning me. It could be on me, but would I really say that the hat is on me? Not really. I'd probably say that I'm wearing a hat. I would choose a different verb. So we can see here that the meaning with pronouns can often be expanded, and that's really where we have to begin. Chemze, it's about me. Chvenze, it's about us. Shenze, tkwenze, it's about you. Tkwenze, you as a group. Masze, him, her, or it. Matze, It's about them, concerning them. Something deeper there. Of course, we have no context, no? But of course, we will see a few. The next, chemshi. Now, chemshi could be obviously physically within me, and that's how I'm going to use it, although the basic translation is in. In the case of like songs and lyrics, it's within us, it's within you, it's not within me. It could be more about capabilities, abilities. It's more of a human experience. This tandebuli goes further than simply inside. So, chem shi, chven shi, shen shi, tkven shi, mas shi, mat shi. This is how they are constructed, and there is no additional S, and all of the I's are gone. What I thought was, if we take a look at this one, mas shi, the cluster of the sh is perhaps, for me, the reason why it's omitted. It is just a clash. And here, masze, right? Although, in fact, the other tandebuli don't have these sharp sounds like z and sh, it's interesting that that's why I want to begin with these two. Namely because actually they're very high frequency, but also because perhaps they are the ones that illustrate why the S has been omitted anyway in the use of Micemiti pronouns. Slide 2 is where most textbooks begin, because the meaning in a spatial environment is so literal. Sadar is chanta. Where's the bag? Sadar is chanta. And it's in the kitchen on the table. Chanta samzarelo shia. Magitaze. Almost like the second part of the story I'm telling you now. Because the a was used in the first noun. That a you could put at the end too. Sadares chanta, samzarelo shi, magidazea, on the table. The important thing is don't forget the a. But for some people, of course, the a is where you want that physical reference to be. So its position, whether here or there, is about your level of emphasis and the picture you're building in another person's mind. Let's choose another item, tsigni. Tsigni, stumrebis otach shia, iatak ze. On the floor. Tsigni, stumrebis, otachshi, iatak zea. I want you to see it on the floor and know that it's in the guest's room. Right? That's kind of where it's going here. Suratebi, paintings. Museum shia, edelze, on the wall. Again, Suratebi, Museum Shi Edelzeya. The paintings are on the wall in the museum. Kata, where's the cat? Sadar is kata, kata ezoshia. Robeze, on the fence. Sadar is kata, ezoshi robezeya. It really is about the image that you are building. One thing, just a note, fence in English is never really made with bricks or stone or built like this. However, in Georgian, saying it's the wall of the garden is translated into fence in Georgian. So even if it is for us a wall and it's kind of half a wall, it's still a fence in Georgian. It still shows the boundary between different gardens, and so it doesn't have the same translation. Slide 3, I hope that the vocabulary that you know is going to help us build these sentences, because on the left we've got tsalis droebi, our seasons, zamtari, gazamkhuli, zapkhuli, shemot goma. And then we've got some verbs of movement. Davdivar, I frequently go. Dadichar, you go. As a rule, that's what you do. Dadis, he or she goes. Regularly, it's what I expect from you. Dadian, they. High frequency, reliable. Cholme suggests that there is a certain wiggle room. Choveltvis means strictly. That is the exact frequency that you do something. And then we're going to go to the mountains. We're going to go to the city of Kutaisi. We're going to go to the beach. And we're going to go to Tbilisi in each of these different seasons, right? So each season has a certain habitual activity. So Rodis would be our Droebi, our season, and Site would be to wear. We're going to blend these two tandebuli. So, me zamtarshi, mtashi, davdivar cholme. Zamtarshi, mtashi, davdivar cholme. It's what I generally do. If I end with qoveltvis, or indeed I start with qoveltvis, zamtarshi, mtashi, davdivar. It's basically doubling down that this is what I do without any negotiation. Shen dadichar, gazab khul ze, kutaishi dadichar, cholme. As a rule, that's what you do in spring. That's where you go. Zabkhuli, zabkhulshi, sanapiroze, dadis. Whoever I'm talking about. Right? Zabkhulshi sanapiroze dadis, qovetvis. Or cholme. Yeah, just lowering that sort of obligatory feeling of frequency. Not mivdivar, midichar. Although that is also very typical in books. Sad midichar, where are you going? Bazarshi, mivdivar. I'm going to the market. I'm not using that construction because I want to show that there is a certain identifiable frequency of activity during the whole year. But I will be doing videos that look strictly on verbs of motion and then prepositions, but this is tandebuli and it is slightly different, although here they do overlap. The last one would be shemod gomaze tbilisi dadian. Cholme. They, in autumn, go and travel to Tbilisi as a rule. That's what they do. Qoveltvis without fail. So another thing you might think is, of course, zamtar shi, ze. There is no reason to analyze it too much. The only tip I can give you, if it starts with a Z, it doesn't end with a Z. So zamtar ze, no. Zabkhul ze, no. Zamtarshi, gazabkhul ze. Zabkhulshi, shemod goma ze. She ze, and that's the way it is. The same with prepositions in English sometimes, on, at, and in. They're kind of flexible too. But I suppose without a verb of motion, some of these sentences wouldn't make sense. So it is a lot on one slide, but I hope you get the meaning. The next slide, and I hope you're thinking, wait a minute, I've seen that one before. And if you have, that's because this was in tutorial number 56, focusing on shesacheb, which is when something is about another person, it's on that topic. Meaning that tsigni chem shesacheba, which we studied, is the same as tsigni chem zeya, which is what we're focusing on now. Razeya, what is it on? Tsigni chem zeya. Okay, so although this was secondary information in that tutorial, it's now primary information in today's tutorial. On zeya, it's on war, about war. These are the topics that the book, the movie, the documentary is on, giving us that literal translation of ze. The last two slides are set up like dialogues because I thought that would be A, massively good practice for me, and B, another facet of these prepositions. I'm going to be asking you if you study somewhere. Your answer will be yes. You'll tell me what you study. Then I want to know where that university is and then what course you're on. There's a lot of prepositions there. And so this is how it might sound to somebody speaking Georgian. Sadmet avlobt. Ki. Universitet shi vtsavlob. Philologis fakultetze. Fakultetze. Sadares universiteti. Madridshia. Romel kurs zechar. Romel kurs zechar. Pirvel kurs zevar. Pirvel kurs zevar. In this dialogue, the only thing I want you to really pay attention to is in the last answer, The word Romeli has lost the E. The word Pirveli has lost the E. Because even with adjectives that are supporting those nouns, the I is removed. So we can clearly see that with dative tandebuli, the I is often removed, the S is never visible. Keep your eye open for the lack of I, and you'll know what you're doing constructing these particular tandebuli. The final slide, same dialogue, but now I'm talking to two people, and one person answers for both. So, Sadmets avloft tkwen. And the person says, Diach universitet-ში ვწავლობთ. Juridul fakultetze. In the law faculty, in the university, we study there. Sadaris universiteti. Batumshia. Oh, it's in Batumi. Romel kursზე ხართ. Oh, in the English, I forgot the T. Well, it's plural. So, Romel kursზე ხართ. Bolo kursზე ვართ. ჩვენ bolo kursზე ვართ. We are in the last year of our studies at this university in Batumi in the Faculty of Law. That's it. That's the last slide of today. And next week, we're looking at our next two from the same family, Shua and Shoris. Have a nice weekend. Enjoy your revision if you're watching it. And I'll see you then. Bye.